There's a saying people often remind us of. A high position is not as valuable as a high salary. A high salary doesn't compare to longevity, and even longevity isn't as precious as living happily. In the end, what we seek throughout our lives is peace of mind. When our spirit is healthy, age is just a number. So, if you're in your 50s, take a few moments to explore these tips for living long, staying healthy, and being happy. At this mature stage of life, many of us find ourselves reminiscing, cherishing beautiful memories, yet also holding regrets. Sometimes, the past can become a burden that weighs down our hearts. Take the story of Mr. Peter from Ohio. After his wife passed away, he spent years walking daily on the bridge where he had once proposed to her. Though the memory was beautiful, he gradually realized that clinging to the past was making him miss out on the present moments. He felt exhausted, not physically, but mentally, as his mind constantly dwelled on things that no longer belonged to today. One day, Peter decided to try something different. He packed a small backpack, jotted down his thoughts in a journal, and went to a new park. Instead of stopping at a place tied to memories, he chose a quiet spot to appreciate nature. He wrote down his feelings, the sad memories, and found comfort in his own words. This act was not just a way to document his thoughts, but also a means for him to accept that his wife would always exist in his cherished memories, while he too deserved moments of peace and presence. From that point on, Peter began attending outdoor concerts, meeting new friends, and finding joy in small trips around town. He discovered that living happily and embracing new joys didn't diminish the value of the past. On the contrary, it was his way of honoring life itself. The days he shared with his late wife were a precious part of his life. But he understood that life didn't stop there. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It's about creating space for new feelings, allowing us to move forward with lighter hearts. Remember, memories will always be there, but the present holds countless joys waiting to be experienced, expanding our world, finding new happiness, and savoring the goodness of the moment. Keep our spirits young and make life more meaningful. When reaching retirement age, many people tend to cut back on expenses, often starting with meals. It's easy to see why older adults might settle for simple, minimal meals. Sometimes cooking just for oneself doesn't seem that exciting anymore. However, nutrition is crucial, especially when the body requires more nutrients to maintain good health. Consider Mrs. Helen in Florida. She was a former teacher who spent years budgeting carefully for her family. In her later years, she continued this habit, thinking that, at her age, she didn't need more than a bowl of soup and a slice of bread for dinner. But after a doctor's visit where she reported feeling tired and lacking energy, she was advised to eat more nutritious meals to avoid fatigue, bone weakness, and muscle loss. Following her conversation with the doctor, Mrs. Helen changed her eating habits. She began adding fiber-rich foods like leafy greens and whole grains, and especially proteins from sources like chicken, fish, and tofu. These additions not only helped her feel fuller, but also provided energy and strengthened her bones and joints. She even tried new foods like salmon and avocado, foods that help reduce inflammation and support brain health. Beyond eating well, Mrs. Helen found joy in her meals again. She joined a cooking class at a local community center, meeting friends her age who were also learning to nourish themselves through healthy eating. Her meals were no longer dull. Now, Mrs. Helen's diet is enriched with fresh salads, hearty mushroom soups, and energizing breakfasts of oatmeal and fruit. Food is fuel for both body and mind at any age. Don't sacrifice nutrition for the sake of saving money or settle for quick, low-nutrient meals. Treat yourself to nourishing and varied meals because health is irreplaceable. Taking care of yourself through balanced meals is a way to show respect for your body. Challenge yourself with new dishes. Find joy in culinary exploration, and life will feel more fulfilling, even as the years go by. As the years go by, we start to realize that not every issue requires a serious response. A little optimism and the ability to let things go can make life much lighter. Mr. Mark from New York is a perfect example of this. On a bus ride to visit his son, he dropped his new glasses on the floor and couldn't retrieve them. Instead of getting upset, Mr. Mark smiled and said, "These glasses aren't useful to me now. I'll buy a new pair." Many might feel sorry for him, but Mr. Mark teaches us a profound lesson. Sometimes, what we lose is merely a material item, and maintaining inner peace is more valuable than clinging to things that have passed. He shared that he used to get easily stressed over small issues, but after retirement, he gradually learned to view things more lightly and to focus on joy and what truly matters. At a certain age, we come to understand that a peaceful mind is the most precious gift. Instead of worrying over trivial matters, spend your time enjoying serene moments and appreciating simple pleasures. Simplifying your thoughts will give you more energy to enjoy life to the fullest. Speaking up isn't always the best approach. Sometimes, silence is the key to preserving your own peace. Mr. Jim from California is a friendly and sociable person. But in the past, he found himself caught up in social arguments that weren't worth his time. He shared that many times he felt his mind weighed down by gossip and issues that didn't truly matter. After turning 60 factorial, Mr. Jim began to understand the value of silence. Instead of speaking out on every issue, he chose to listen and maintain a healthy distance from conflicts. He spent more time volunteering, practicing yoga, and meeting friends who brought him positivity. When asked why he no longer paid attention to arguments like he used to, he simply smiled and said, "At this age, I've learned that a peaceful heart is what matters most." Mr. Jim's success lies not only in keeping negativity at bay, but also in creating a serene world for himself. Learning to be a quiet observer doesn't mean indifference. It means knowing what truly deserves your attention and what should be left behind. This is how we can live peacefully and enjoy a meaningful older age, free from unnecessary burdens. After retirement, many people feel empty, lacking the purpose they once found in their work. However, staying engaged in activities you love can bring happiness and a sense of purpose. Older adults who remain active with small tasks or personal hobbies often have a more optimistic outlook and a deep appreciation for life. Mr. Sam, a retired teacher, is a wonderful example. After retirement, he didn't let himself drift into boredom or loneliness. Instead, he maintained his routine of rising early for a morning walk along familiar paths, enjoying the fresh air. He also spent time writing, recording the valuable experiences and lessons he accumulated over years of teaching. Mr. Sam also enjoyed attending local classes in art and history, subjects he hadn't had the time to explore before. He shared, "Keeping busy makes me feel useful and never lonely." For him, life after retirement wasn't about stopping, but about finding opportunities to do what he always loved, yet hadn't had a chance to try. His daily walks, writing, and learning gave him motivation and made him feel his life still had meaning. Keeping busy also helps older adults maintain social connections, helping prevent feelings of loneliness. You may find joy and connection through volunteer work in the community, where the experience and caring hearts of older adults are always appreciated. Some people join book clubs, gardening groups, or dance classes. Not only are these activities enjoyable, but they also offer the chance to meet new friends and connect with those who share similar interests. Short trips with friends or family are also a great way to keep spirits high and feel refreshed. Exploring new places, experiencing diverse cultures, and trying new things can broaden your perspective and remind you that there is still so much left to discover in life. Staying busy doesn't need to involve grand tasks. Sometimes, simple activities like gardening, cooking a nice meal, or working on crafts you enjoy are enough. These activities not only keep you moving, but also provide simple joys and a sense of pride in your accomplishments. Staying actively and positively engaged is a way for older adults to maintain mental health, preserve their zest for life, and feel they are still contributing to the world around them. Throughout life, many people become accustomed to sacrifice, caring for family, and spending most of their time looking after others, from children to elderly parents. As old age approaches, many continue this habit, rarely considering their own needs. But if we want to live the later years peacefully and fully, it's time for older adults to learn to love and care for themselves. Mrs. Helen is a perfect example. She devoted her entire life to her husband and children. She took care of her 2 kids from their youngest days, then helped them grow and start their own families. After that, she cared for her husband during his illness, attending to his every meal and his sleep. Her life revolved around these responsibilities. When her children grew up and her husband passed away, she suddenly realized she had neglected herself for a very long time. Now, at age 65, Mrs. Helen is starting to allow herself to do what she enjoys. Occasionally, she treats herself to short trips, exploring places she had never been, like beaches or mountains she had only seen on TV before. She even enrolled in an art class to indulge in a passion she'd never had time for before. For her, these moments are precious and help her relive the desires and joys of her youth. Caring for yourself is not only about taking care of your physical health, but also your mental well-being. One of Mrs. Helen's small pleasures is relaxing mornings at her favorite cafe. She sits with her favorite cup of coffee, watching people pass by, letting herself unwind and savor each present moment. She realizes that by spending time doing what she loves, her spirit feels lighter, happier, and younger. For many older adults, focusing on oneself can be as simple as establishing daily self-care habits, going for a walk, reading a book, journaling, or even just tending to a few potted plants in the yard. These activities bring a sense of freedom and help them reconnect with themselves, rather than constantly worrying about others. Caring for yourself also means having the confidence to say no to unnecessary tasks and reducing unwarranted responsibilities. Many seniors feel pressured to always help the family, from babysitting grandchildren to doing house chores, feeling they have to be available all the time. But it's perfectly okay to say no when necessary. Family will understand that you also need time for yourself, and resting or doing things you enjoy not only helps you stay healthier, but also leaves you feeling happier and more at ease when spending time with family. Caring for yourself is a journey of rediscovering what brings you happiness, finding the hobbies and passions you once set aside, and enjoying life to the fullest. As Mrs. Helen realized, when we learn to love ourselves, life becomes more meaningful, and each day brings new joy. Consider this your time to explore, enjoy, and reconnect with yourself. The secret to peaceful living is not in seeking lofty ideals, but simply in appreciating each moment, listening to yourself, and cherishing those around you. We hope these tips bring you many happy and peaceful years ahead. If you find this video useful, inspiring, and motivating, please hit the like button And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss our upcoming videos. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment with the number 1. And if you feel the content wasn't quite right, comment with the number 2. Your feedback helps us improve and deliver better content. Thank you for taking the time to watch.